Football is back, which means it's time for a new show. This is the NFL Recap Show. I'm your host, Brian Mansell, and today I'm joined by Josh Lynch, Laik Green, and Chris Moreno. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. Great.
That's great to hear. Today, we're going to be covering some massive developments in the NFL, starting off with Antonio Brown and his fallout with the Oakland Raiders. Following that story, we will discuss the Browns' complete destruction against the Titans. Was this all just a facade, or are the Browns just getting warmed up? We'll decide. Finally, our crew will give you our best and worst performances this week. And trust me, there were a lot of options. So let's get right into it with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is considered by most to be a great wide receiver, a once-in-a-generation talent. However, during the offseason, the star wide receiver demanded a trade from the team he spent most of his career with, the Pittsburgh Steelers. He ended up in Oakland with John Gruden and Derek Carr in return for a draft pick. It seemed like a match made in heaven. High hopes for the Raiders started to grow. Then, AB had an issue during cryotherapy and received frostbite on his feet. Once they were healed, there came an issue with him missing practices. He was fired by the general manager, Mike Mayock. Brown voiced his concerns with Mayock, proceeding to berate the general manager before telling him to fine him for that. Following this incident, the Raiders planned on voiding almost $30 million in guaranteed money for the receiver since his actions violated his contract's rules on conduct. Brown then received another fine and released a confidential call on social media and YouTube between him and John Gruden, where the coach tells him to get his act together. He followed that up with the demand of a release from Oakland, to which his wish was granted Saturday morning. A few hours later, Brown signed a deal with the defending champions, the New England Patriots, on a one-year deal worth $15 million total. A truly complicated situation for the Raiders. But you have to wonder, Lake, was this the right move for the Raiders?
Honestly, it probably was. I mean, Brown has a history, obviously, evidently seen here, of having an attitude problem. He had an attitude problem in Pittsburgh with the holdout last year, and he's got an attitude problem this year. So I definitely think that when you have somebody like that in a locker room, regardless of what sport it is a cancer to your franchise, it's a cancer to your team, and I'm going to call it that because it's going to create an off-the-field distraction, and it's going to affect your locker room, your chemistry, and a whole lot of other things that come with it. So I'm really interested to see what happens in New England with him, but they run Belichick runs a tight ship there, so I don't think there's going to be any problems.
I mean, Josh, Chris, what do you guys think?
I've never seen anything like this. I mean, it's just like, it seemed like a little girl. I mean, what
Absolutely.
was he doing? Like,
you release a confidential phone call with your head coach.
It's unbelievable.
To social media for everybody to see.
And it makes me think like the Steelers were right all along. I mean, when he was first released by the Steelers, I don't know about you guys, but I personally thought, maybe it was kind of both ways.
A little ridiculous.
Some of Antonio Brown's fault, some of Ben Roethlisberger's fault. But now we see, just the attitude he brought to the Raiders organization. I mean, it was just it's unbelievable. Like I said, I never seen anything like it.
Exactly.
Somebody tried to compare him to T.O. I'm like, the way he was acting, that was a little worse than T.O. To be honest, but I've never seen anything like it. I can't even say I wish him the best on that Patriots roster. I would think, Bill Belichick, would set him straight and hopefully set him straight, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I was seeing stuff online involving Antonio Brown where they were even saying that after the situation that broke down with the Raiders, that they should elect Mike Tomlin for the Nobel Peace Prize as a joke.
I don't know what goes. And what's even crazy is his agent said he didn't even try to force his way, in leaving the Raiders organization. But it's like he did everything possible in getting us to think he just wanted out, period.
Exactly.
The helmet issue, right? What else was going on there?
I mean, besides that helmet issue, there was also the frostbite with the feet.
Frostbite
he was
with the feet.
Practices. Now, they were saying that really wasn't his fault, but then there was the issue with him missing those practices, and then they were fining him for that.
Right. He was trying to figure out, easier ways and quicker ways to get cut from the team.
Yeah, he did.
There was a report on that, too. So, you're just looking at everything that's going on with Antonio Brown. And, if you look at the situation in Pittsburgh, like you said, Josh, you have Roethlisberger, you have Tomlin, and you can say, all right, maybe
Roethlisberger's a cut up sometimes.
Yeah,
we've
exactly.
heard
He's had his issues.
And issues and beef with other players. But
yes.
now you see, like.
Yeah, because now it's following Antonio Brown. So obviously, when you see the situation that Antonio Brown was going through in Pittsburgh, you can say, all right, Roethlisberger could have been an issue, Mike Tomlin could have been an issue. But when Antonio Brown leaves that situation, you say, all right, now he's moving on to a new team. It's a new franchise. It's an entire new situation for him. So when you look at Antonio Brown, you're like, are you the one causing these problems, or is this just, you know, something that's going on everywhere in the NFL? And the second part I just said, I wouldn't bet my money that it's going on all over in different franchises. But I would tell you straight up that I think Antonio Brown is just causing a lot of issues and
just selfish
and really immature. You know, you have a lot of people. You know, you have people coming up looking up to Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers
I'm a fan.
in history. Exactly. And you know, do you want any college, you know, wide receiver looking at that and saying that's what I want to do? You know, this is who I want to be. People are going to try to emulate that and, you know, do that in their own lives. So it's definitely a really bad example to set. And, you know, we're going to see how this pans out in New England. Like you mentioned, you know, Bill Belichick has a different kind of system there in New England. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe Antonio Brown might not even get some touches late in games, depending on his attitude. Belichick don't play.
They said that's a team where it's like he's going to be able to get, say, 10 catches one game. Next game, he'll only get like 3 receptions, maybe 20 yards. It's team over me. But to him, you know, it seems like for him, it's me over team.
Definitely.
100%.
You've seen that on the Steelers, on the Raiders. I mean, left Derek Carr in the dirt. It's like, who do they got now? And I feel bad for John Gruden because he was so riled up. He was so ready for him to come in and, you know, kind of alter the offense a little bit, give Derek Carr some, you know, some assistance. But it's just like.
This is a crazy situation. Like you said, Josh, you've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. And to piggyback kind of off what you were saying, Chris, not only is it important for an athlete to be an upstanding role model for other athletes that are pursuing maybe a professional career, but the masses of children and just people in general young adults and young people who look up to him and look up to NFL players. You know, growing up, I idolized Chad Pennington, you know, and I love the guy, and, you know, the Dolphins are obviously my team, so I'm biased, but you know what I mean? Never once can I recall a moment where he did something that made me not want to respect him or look up to him. You know, he was a class act. And as an athlete, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. And he hasn't. So we'll have to see what happens in New England.
I guess we'll have to. Hopefully, we wish the best for Brown and the Raiders. Hopefully, things get back on track for both sides. But when we return, our crew will give their picks for the best and worst performances of the week. Don't go away. We'll be right back. What's up, everyone? My name's Connor Keating. I'm on the men's golf team, part of SFBK Athletics. Big show. Friend here, Tim. He's on the men's tennis team. All we want to say is just follow our Instagrams, because then you can catch some cool footage of us practicing what we do on a daily basis. Golf is SFBK_men's golf.
And tennis is SFBK_M tennis.
Hopefully we see you guys at some of our tournaments. Go Terriers. Welcome back to the NFL Recap Show. Jumping right into the last part of our broadcast, we have seen plenty of strong performances and pitiful performances this week, but each of us can only name one. Chris, who was your pick for the worst performance this week?
Of course it was the Jets. I mean, every single year, the Jets do the same thing. And this is my problem with them right now. You saw the 16-0 lead, right, on Buffalo, and you say, all right, maybe this is going to be the turning point for this New York Jets franchise, which hasn't been on the right path in, you know, God knows how long. And you say that and you say, all right, let's be excited. Let's look forward to the future. We have some young guys here. We can move on. We can do something great. But if you look at the score when it was 16-0 and you don't look at your phone, you're not watching the game, you look back and you say the Jets lost? It was surprising. So, you know, this might have been different if it was a team like Oakland or maybe a team, you know, like Tampa Bay, for example. But the Jets have been doing this over and over. They get you, you know, hyped up. They sort of give you like this hope that they'll do something great in the future, and it just all goes and crumbles down. So that's the reason why they're the biggest losers, in my opinion.
That makes sense. Plus, don't forget about the turnovers thing. 4 turnovers from Buffalo, and they still won, and the Jets had none.
More turnovers than points they had.
Exactly.
The Bills. And they still won.
At that point, yeah.
What?
I mean, Laik, how about you? What do you think was the worst performance this week?
My Miami Dolphins, by far, 59-10, blowout loss. The Ravens set a record for the most points scored in a single game in the history of the Baltimore Ravens franchise post you know, before they moved to Cleveland and became the Cleveland Browns, the new Baltimore Ravens. And basically, there's not much else to say. The Dolphins had less than 200 yards of combined offense, or right at the mark. Fitzpatrick was 14 for 29 with 185 yards and a pick, so not a high completion percentage there. And Josh Rosen was 1 for 3 for 5 yards and a pick himself. So Miami Dolphins, by far the worst football team in the National Football League in 2019.
I mean, don't even forget about what the reports have been coming in with everything going on with the Dolphins players requesting
trades.
Someone's getting fired.
Alonso wanted out. He got out, and then now after the game, after the game, there's multiple reports from people just wanting out. And I mean, look, your obligation as an athlete is to perform and win games. So I mean, I don't know what's going on in that locker room, but clearly Brian Flores does not have control.
He's done.
I completely agree with you here. Josh, what's your pick?
My pick is the Browns. Now,
I don't disagree one bit.
I can't even speak for myself. I'm pretty sure all of you guys were kind of sold on the hype train. Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb. They're going to get Kareem Hunt, you know, later down the season. Before the first game started, I thought, you know, this was a team, like, they could go far. Possibly maybe even make a run, you know, maybe for, like, the Super Bowl maybe. I thought that was a little over the head, but I was kind of sold on it. Then when you looked at them yesterday, it's just like, what happened? They started off kind of steady, right? Then when the game kind of picked up, you know, everything just kind of went left. I mean, I don't know what happened. Odell Beckham couldn't be found. He was being double covered. 7 receptions, I think like 84 yards. Same thing with Jarvis Landry. He was being double covered.
Mayfield was pressured as well.
But Mayfield was pressured like crazy yesterday, and it makes me think, like, well, did they work at all on the offensive line? Like, he was running around. I mean, he just looked like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, he was running all around. So
it's unfortunate. It's the lack of protection he has on the offensive line.
So
they addressed every issue except the offensive line.
You can't protect the quarterback, you're not going to win games. Period. Nobody talks about the offensive line, but that's your heart and soul. If you can block, you can run the ball, and then you can protect your quarterback, who in turn will throw the ball.
Right.
It's the heartbeat of your offense right there.
Right.
One thing I will say though, Nick Chubb, he did okay. He did all right. You know. I like Nick Chubb. You know, I'm always watching Nick. He did okay, but didn't make up for that loss.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And even Beckham had a decent performance as well with the over 70 yards receiving. But for me, if I had to pick, I think my selection for the worst performance has to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm a Buccaneers fan. So watching this game was pitiful. I mean, I understand they're working on developing Winston and improving his craft, limiting the turnovers, but you had 4 turnovers against the 49ers defense.
Who do they have?
The 49ers defense. Nick Bosa had 1 sack, and he was absent most of the game anyway. So it wasn't even Nick Bosa. Richard Sherman got a pick 6.
He got a pick 6.
He didn't have an interception all season last year, and he got a pick 6 yesterday. 2 pick sixes for that team.
He looked like Deion Sanders out there.
He did. Winston's performance was very similar to what Baker did, except he had less passing yards. I don't know what Arians thought of keeping him, but it wasn't working. He thought he could change what he had. He thought he could do all these things to make sure that they had a franchise quarterback, and you lost it.
And you lost it.
He lost his. I've lost faith in him. There's no chance he's going to get my support back. It's gone.
One game, Brian? One game?
After one game, this is the 5th year I'm watching him turn over the ball. Do you know that yesterday he had his 17th career game with an interception? That is actually the most since 2015, breaking Blake Bortles' record.
Oh, he's killing him.
Always the tough critic, Brian.
Bortles.
Always. Now, as for the best performances, Chris, who do you have?
Oh, I'm going with the New England Patriots. You see, all right, Tom Brady's 42, right? And every year it's like, oh, can he come back and do it again? Can he come back and do it? He's going to be 50.
Ageless wonder.
He's going to be 50, and he's going to be playing at a high level.
Father Time just doesn't exist for that.
It's not going to hit him. But
it's a system around him.
You see the game that they had against the Steelers yesterday, and I thought it was going to be at least a pretty good contest from Pittsburgh. Obviously, they didn't do anything, you know, to show me that they moved on from Antonio Brown or moved on from a high-powered offense. Maybe Big Ben was just Big Ben because of Antonio Brown and you know, his running backs and his offensive line. Maybe these kind of people were helping him out and making him look better. But the New England Patriots, on the other hand, they came out, they almost scored on every possession. It looked like Burkhead was just running the lights out for the team. And when the Patriots are moving on from a guy like Rob Gronkowski, you're thinking, can they have a good offense as well, and can they keep moving on, and can they be successful in the future? And yesterday, I think they ran about 24, 25 plays without a tight end on the field. And they only did that 24 times total last season, the entire season last year. And you think, oh, okay, maybe they're gonna, struggle. Maybe they're gonna not have a good game without a tight end on the field, without Gronk. But they came and they executed, and they dominated Pittsburgh. So, and they also got Antonio Brown about 2 days ago. So let's not forget that.
Let's not talk about that.
That's just something we'll have to say for that day. That's a story in itself. We just.
KD going to the Warriors, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the Patriots just basically became the Warriors of the NFL.
That's a fact.
I think they've always been.
Yeah, I mean, for Laik, what do you think? Who had the best performance?
I'm just going to do the Baltimore Ravens, a franchise high in points. And Lamar Jackson threw for 324 yards and 5 touchdowns. So
he was having a movie yesterday. A movie. He looked fake. I mean,
the question we'll have to ask here is, are the Dolphins that bad, or are the Ravens that good? We'll have to see.
True.
I mean, and then think about next week, too. This is the fun part. Next week, Miami's got to play New England.
I knew you were saying it.
Oh, gosh.
Miami's got to play New England. Well, you're going to see the first game where the score goes 100-0. We don't know.
Miami might have a chance,
it's
right?
It's going to be crazy.
They always play good against New England for some reason.
70 to nothing? 70 to nothing?
Possible.
Remember the miracle last year as well, so.
It's 11 more points. It's 11 more points. With Tom Brady now at the helm.
Yeah.
So
I look out for that mercy rule.
I mean, think about it this way, Josh. Who had the best performance?
Well, my hometown team in the Philadelphia Eagles. I had to say it.
Okay.
Carson Wentz looked amazing out there. Our whole offensive roster. I mean, we looked sexy out there. The defense was even great. The defense actually, they weren't great until the second half. They really picked up second half.
Yeah.
First half, we was a little. My heart was kind of like, skipping a couple of beats. We were down 17-0. Then Carson Wentz and the offensive line, they really helped them out. The running game started working out. Miles Sanders, Darren Sproles, I love that guy. I mean, every time you give him the ball, he's
class act.
Exactly. He's going to give you some yards. So that's my team, for the best performance. I like them. We'll see what we could do week 2.
I hope the best for the Eagles. I have them being a good team this year. I think they're going to do great.
You're going to see.
Now, for me, I think the best performance, I'm going to go with the dark horse here. I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh.
I think the Titans had one of the best performances of the week, even though it was a 43-13 win. People were thinking about it because, the Browns had a bad week, whatever it was. You cannot take away this win from Mike Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota did have a strong first half. Okay, I'll give you that. But the second half, he played strong. He played like he was a true franchise quarterback. You go into the running game with Derrick Henry. 159 combined yardage the whole game with 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 receiving. Delaney Walker looked like an ageless wonder yesterday with 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And then you look at the rookie, A.J. Brown from Ole Miss. People forgot about him altogether. Yeah. People forgot about him. He's still one of the best receivers in his draft class, and he proved it yesterday, 100 yards. I mean, and the defense. This defense.
Defense, I already told you, they're underrated.
Their defense is so good. I mean, think about that secondary there. Logan Ryan, Kevin Byard, Malcolm Butler, and Kenny Vaccaro.
Pick 6.
I mean, that is like one of the strongest secondaries I have seen in the NFL this season. I'm so happy for the Titans. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think they got a chance to win the AFC South.
Oh, snap.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that.
That's a division that moves around a lot.
I got to see the Texans play first, but I'm not too, rocky on what you just said, but if the Texans don't look all that, I'm definitely sold on what you just said. Without a doubt.
I am simply on the Titans for a couple
Definitely agree
reasons.
with you.
The Jaguars just lost Nick Foles and had to take Joshua Dobbs in a trade from Pittsburgh. So they got him and Gardner Minshew. Minshew didn't do bad, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get that even a wild card spot.
We'll see.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's a losing record season for them now, especially since the defense isn't doing well.
No.
You look into the Colts. See, the Colts looked like they were okay with Brissett and the protection, but the thing was, it wasn't enough. So I don't know if they'll be able to get that.
Yeah.
And then you look at the Texans. it all comes down to how they did against New Orleans. You got to look at that alone, and then how they're going to face around when the season comes. In my opinion, this is all Titans and this is all Texans. Yeah. Winners get in this division. Other ones either getting a wild card or they're going home. This is going to be fun to watch. I'm all in on the Titans.
I say though, whoever wins that division makes the playoffs. Whoever does not win that division does not make the playoffs. I don't think any wild card teams come out of there.
No.
I mean, yeah. Let's be realistic.
Unless you're the Giants and you got that wild card and and won the Super Bowl somehow. I don't know how that happened.
Let's not talk.
We're not going to talk about that.
We don't want to offend no Patriot fans. We don't want to lose any Patriot fans here. But that's going to do it for us here at the NFL Recap Show. I'm your host, Brian Mansell, joined by Josh Lynch, Laik Green, and Chris Moreno. We will see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.